Do you ever wonder where your money really goes each month? Well, in just 10 minutes, I'll show you exactly how to analyze your spending data using Google Sheets, following the 3 simple steps of importing your data, transforming your data or cleaning it up, and analyzing the data with some descriptive statistics. With that, let's get started. The first step here is getting your data into Google Sheets. The easiest way to do this is to log into your bank or credit card account and look for a download option to export the data in a CSV format. Now, your bank webpage might look different from mine, but most banks should provide the download option somewhere. Once you've done that, you want to go to your Google Drive and upload the CSV file there. Then right-click, Open With, and select Google Sheets. Alright, with your data now in Google Sheets, on to step 2, which is cleaning up the data. Our big goal here is to transform the data so we end up with the 4 columns of date, description, category, and amount. The category column will be empty at first, but we will fill it up at the end. Looking at the data here, we don't need the balance checker type columns, so we can just delete those. And next, we just want to analyze our spending, so we can go ahead and get rid of any non-spending transactions. Looking at the details column here, it looks like debit transactions align with negative values and credit transactions align with positive values. So the credit values represent income transactions, which we don't need. So let's use Control-A to select the entire data set, right-click, More Cell Actions, Sort Range, check this box here, sort by details, and sort. Nice! Now we can select and delete the credit rows, and we don't need the details column anymore either. Now for these amounts. It will be easier to do the analysis with positive values instead of negative values. So let's select the cell next to the first one, and we'll use the ABS function to transform the value into a positive value like so. And then use the fill handle to copy the formula down. Then select the column and copy, right-click, and paste values to override the negative values. Add back the column header, and we can delete the formulas in this column. Alright, how about adding in a category column? Well, just right-click on the column header and insert a column left. Then let's clean up the column headers like so. Adjust the alignments so everything looks nice, and set the number formatting for the amount column to number. Awesome! Now we can go through and assign categories to all the transactions. This might take a few minutes, but I promise it will be well worth the effort. Okie dokie! Once we've categorized all the transactions, we're now ready for the third step in the process, which is analyzing the data. Specifically, we want to know how much we spent each month, how much we spent on each category for a specific month, as well as the percentage of total spending per category. This should give us a pretty good idea of how we're spending our money. Before we do any calculations though, we should create some range names. These will make it easier to reference our data and write our formulas. So we go to Data, Named Ranges, then add a range, and we'll call the first one Date Range with no spaces because range names cannot have spaces. We want to reference the dates here, which start in cell A2, so let's make the range A2 through A, and click Done. The next range will be Category Range, and let's make the range B2 through B, and click Done. Finally, the last range name will be Amount Range, and the range is D2 through D, and press Done. Nice! Now for the analysis. First, how much we spent each month. For this, we need a specified year, and then a list of all the months. We also need numbers for the months too. This will allow us to calculate the start and end date for each month. For the start date, we'll use the date function and select the year, lock the reference with $signs, select the month number, and add a 1. Then copy the formula down. For the end date, we'll use the EO month function, select the start date, add a 0, and then we have the formula, so just copy it down. Awesome. Now for the month totals. Start with January and enter this formula. Equals SUMIFS function, amount range, next argument, date range, next argument, quote, greater than, equals, quote, ampersand, select the start date, next argument, date range, next argument, quote, less than, equals, quote, ampersand, and select the end date, close parentheses, and press enter. This formula uses the SUMIFS function to add all of the amounts where the date range is on or after the start date and on or before the end date. And once you have it working, copy the formula down with the fill handle. Then we can adjust the number formatting and alignment as well. And now we can see here that my data just covers some spending in part of October and most of November. Next, let's calculate the spending per category. First, we need a list of all the categories. So we'll actually use the unique function here. Reference the category range, and now we have a list of all our categories. Awesome! To calculate the totals for each category, and for a specific month, we need a month selection on top. So let's add that. And it will also be helpful to have a calculated start and end date that we can reference as well. So let's calculate the start date using the date function, and then calculate the end date using the EO month function. Okay, now for the category totals. Select the cell next to the first category and enter this formula. Equals SUMIFS function, amount range, next argument, category range, next argument, select the category, next argument, date range, next argument, quote, greater than, equals, quote, ampersand, select the start date up here, then add dollar signs to lock the reference, next argument, date range, next argument, quote, less than, equals, quote, ampersand, select the end date, add dollar signs to lock the reference, close parentheses, and press enter. Okie dokie, just like before, we're using the SUMIFS function to add all of the amounts where the category matches the category and the date falls on or after the start date and on or before the end date. And once you have it working, copy the formula down. Finally, to calculate the percentages for each category, just start with the first one and enter the formula equals the category total divided by sum function, select all the category totals, and add dollar signs to lock the reference, close parentheses, and press enter. Then copy the formula down. With that, you have a super clear picture of how much you're spending and exactly where you're spending it. Now, although being able to calculate these statistics is nice, it's even better to visualize them. So watch this video next where I show you exactly how to build a spending dashboard and show you how to create visuals that tell a strong and compelling story.